Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today is a horror video. And what I decided to do, because social media has decided that the official kickoff to spooky season is July 5th. And I'm not going to argue with it because I never need an excuse to talk about horror, you know that. And what I decided to do is make my first video my movies that made me a horror fan. So we're going way back. This is some nostalgia here, and there's a lot of classics on here, so don't expect many surprises. But I just thought this would be a fun look back and a fun way to kick off spooky season. I have 15 or 16 movies that were my go-to staples that made me a horror fan, and I absolutely saw them way too young, and I watched them way too often. But these are like old school favorites, so I thought this would just be fun. And before I get into the video and the movie picks, I just want to give a big shout out to my good friend Q the Movie Collector. He is a part of the community. He's also a content creator, and he's got a great channel, which I'm going to link down below. So go over, give him a sub, send him some love. He deserves way more subscribers than what he has. He's got some great movie picks, great videos, and I always like to share great people with you guys and just to show my appreciation for people who are making great content and are good people. We chat on Instagram all the time. He's a good guy. Go show him some love and tell him I said hello. So I'm going to get right into it, and like I said, there's not going to be a lot of surprises on this one, but it's just fun. The gateway movies to my horror, my love of horror. So the first one, I saw this way too young, like everything on the list, but my grandparents, it was my grandparents' fault. They took us to see Jaws on summer vacation. My mother said, no way, they're way too young. My brother's 4 years younger than me, so I was too young. He was definitely too young, but it did what it was supposed to do. We were traumatized. We didn't swim for the rest of the summer. And I was in love with this from the first minute. Even though it scared the bejesus out of me, I was all in, and I loved Jaws from the first time I saw it. And happy 50th, you see it all around me, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that feel the same way. So this is iconic, and I had to do the VHS. I have from VHS all the way up to 4K, multiple editions. I'm going to show it in the room tour, my Jaws collection. It's a lot of fun. So I had to include that one. And of course, what would a list be without John Carpenter's Halloween, another one I saw way too young. But believe it or not, this one never scared me. Even though I saw it very young, I was probably, I don't know, 12? But, I watched it. My parents allowed it. I watched it at home, and I just loved it. I loved everything about it, the creepiness, the vibes, the fall vibes. I've always loved fall since I was a young child. Always been my favorite season. So I love everything about this, and I watch it every year at least once, always on Halloween night. But sometimes I'll sneak it in a few times during the year because I just can never get enough of this, and I never get sick of it. So Halloween 78. And of course, what would a list be without a good old summer slasher, the original Friday the 13th? Now, I know this is not a great movie, and each time I watch it, I'm kind of like, I know a lot of these are not great movies, but they're just so much fun, and they always hold my attention. I never get tired of watching these. And this one I did see in theaters, so this was a big move. I saw this one in theaters, and let me tell you, seeing this on the big screen and not really knowing what to expect, it was quite an experience for a bunch of young kids that saw this. We saw it in 1980, so I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I was old enough to go in the theater, but it was really jarring to see this, and I'm so happy that I was able to see it in theaters. It was a great experience. And this one, I heard so many horror stories about this, horror being the key word there. Before I even saw it, it was banned, you couldn't get it, it was the scariest movie ever made, and that's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I always enjoyed this from the beginning. The biggest thing with this one, it scared me, but it wasn't as scary. It wasn't as scary as some things that I've seen that freaked me out on the list. The thing about this one was Leatherface. It was, everything about this movie was so disgusting. It made me feel more sick to my stomach than anything. I mean, it's a groundbreaking movie for the horror genre, but I have always loved this. And the thing about it, like I said, it's just so gross with the things hanging in the kitchen and the chickens and the Leatherface with the mask all sewn together, the skin. I mean, everything about it was gross. And I always said, if this movie just came with smell-o-vision, that would have been just the icing on the cake and the cherry on the sundae. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, I go back to it again and again and again. And believe it or not, I have watched these on VHS more times than I can count. And there's something to be said for watching these older classics on VHS. It's an experience. So I need to get a new VHS player so I can pop these in and enjoy them the way they were supposed to be seen originally. Now, there's another one I'm going to come back to, but I saw that a little later. There's another VHS, but I'm going to get into the first. This is the first film that I ever saw in theaters, first horror film that I ever saw in theaters with no parents, just friends. We were old enough to go. We were allowed to go. It scared the life out of us. Now, is it a scary film? No, but I think this is a decent film. And believe it or not, this is the Blu-ray. I have the new 4K edition of this sitting upstairs. It just came, I think, yesterday or the day before. But I was shocked when I saw this was getting a 4K. Happily shocked, but I don't talk about it much. It stars Barbara Steele, Rebecca Balding, Cameron Mitchell, Yvonne DiCarlo, Lily Munster, and Avery Schreiber. It's called Silent Scream, and I believe they kept the same cover for the 4K. And this movie was just a lot of fun, and I highly recommend you guys checking it out. Even if you can just stream it, you don't have to necessarily pick it up. Make your own decisions. But this one focuses on a group of college kids, and they can't get rooms in the dormitory, and so they go and they rent rooms at this boarding house. And it's set on the beach, and it's a nice setting. They're really happy. They kind of form a friendship. I think there's 4 of them that rent rooms. And the family lives in the house. It's a kind of a son who's weird. The mother you really don't see a lot. And strange things are going on. And what happens is people start going one by one missing. And this is just a lot of fun. Scared the life out of us in the theater, but I will always remember this as the first horror film that I saw with friends, alone, without parents, in the theater, and I go back to it again and again. Silent Scream, gotta put it on the list. Okay, now this next one terrorized teenage babysitters everywhere when this came out, and I remember watching it. It came out in 1979. I probably saw it a little later than that, but still, it freaked us out. And you have to remember, this was at a time when we didn't have the things that we have today. We didn't have cell phones. There wasn't texting, social media. There was no way to stay in contact. So if you were babysitting somewhere, you really were alone, and you just had that landline. And if a stranger called, and this is called When a Stranger Calls, but if a stranger called on that landline and gave you some sort of a creepy phone call, you really were alone. It was like your worst nightmare for someone to give you a scary phone call or a crank call, and that's exactly what this is. We have a young gal who's babysitting, she's watching the kids, and again, you can't tie up the landline in case the parents are trying to call. She starts getting phone calls. You probably have heard of this before, but she starts getting phone calls asking if she's checked on the children, and it's a really weird voice, and she's creeped out, and she calls the police, but she can't stay on the phone, and the whole thing. And like I said, this was terrorizing babysitters everywhere. Is it a scary movie now? Like when I watch it now as an adult? No, but back in the day when we would be left alone in a house with kids and no way to do outside contact other than a landline phone, it was a scary premise, and it freaked a lot of people out. I know a lot of people who wouldn't babysit after they saw this movie, but it's a lot of fun, and I go back to it again and again because of the nostalgia. And like I said, things looked very different in the late 70s and the early 80s than they do now. So just imagine yourself alone in someone else's house and no contact to the outside world but one landline phone that you really shouldn't use. It's a little bit creepy. So When a Stranger Called had to be on my list. It was one that freaked everybody out. There was legends that it was a real story, that it really happened, and all kinds of crazy stuff. You know how kids talk, or at least we did. And this one is one that I think so many people still go back to again and again. I know it's a favorite for me, and this one has definitely held up over time. This is the 4K Blu-ray from Scream Factory. It's the original Carrie, and I love this movie. And the thing that freaked me out about this, Carrie didn't really freak me out. It was Piper Laurie's portrayal of the mother. The mother is what freaked me out. The supernatural stuff didn't freak me out. The things with Carrie didn't freak me out. It was the mother. And her performance will forever go down as, I think, one of the best, creepiest mom performances in horror history. I think she was amazing in this. And Sissy Spacek as Carrie was amazing, and the supporting cast, I just think this is a really great movie, and it really holds up over time. You have the whole bullying thing, and the girls picking on her, and she's crazy, and who's the Betty Buckley as the gym teacher, crazy, smacking the girl across the face. I mean, where would you see a gym teacher smack a kid across the face in a movie now? Wouldn't happen. The teacher would be in jail. But this was great, and if you haven't watched Carrie in a while, pull it off your shelf and give it a look. It's a good one. And of course, this is another one I saw way too young, and I was so traumatized by this. And I'll tell you a little bit for the new people here on the channel, anyone who hasn't heard me talk about this before. It's The Exorcist. And I mean, it's forever billed as one of the scariest movies of all time. Some people can't even watch it again, and I understand. They did such a great job with the practical effects, and there's a series called Cursed Films, and The Exorcist is actually on it because so many people were injured really badly on the set of this because they really went for it when it came to the practical effects, and the actors were all in on it. And I know Linda Blair had a hard time after this because she was very young when she portrayed this girl who becomes possessed, and a lot went on. So if you have a chance to see that series, Cursed Films, definitely check it out and look for the one on The Exorcist. It's really, really good. But this one definitely creeped me out. It scared me. There were years that I couldn't watch this. And a little story, when I got my first home theater, I was living alone in this house. I was living alone. I got an all-in-the-box home theater. I set it up. Finally finished it about midnight. I thought it was so complicated. It was really like a plug-and-play thing. But the first movie I chose to put on, The Exorcist, and I was freaked out. I was probably 30 years old. I was freaked out like none other. I was home alone, turned all the lights out, and I had speakers behind me. Crazy scary. It got me. But I watch this every year, so I understand the people that won't watch it or don't want to watch it again, but this definitely holds its place in horror history and my journey into being a horror fan for a reason, and I think a lot of people can understand that. Now this one, I've told the story about this one. This is the beautiful second sight release for David Cronenberg's The Brood. This was my first experience with body horror, and I've told the story about this one too. The way I got my hands on this one is I had a really good friend whose older sister was way into horror, and she had The Brood on VHS in her room, and when she would go out at night, we would sneak into the sister's room, swipe the VHS, and we would put it in the VCR, and we would watch it over and over and over again. So I was way in with body horror because of The Brood. So I love this movie, and I was so shocked because when I didn't have it in my collection, and then when I started looking for it, I was really surprised to see that it was still in print. It was in the Criterion collection. So David Cronenberg hit a home run with this one in my eyes. So check out The Brood if you haven't seen it before. And I'm going to come back to the last VHS that I have here, and it is for The Shining. I mean, this is such an iconic moment in the movie. And I have always, and this is a really cool VHS. It's called the Blood Splatter. And you can see it has the blood splatter all over the tape, which I guess made it more collectible. I don't know. It's just the one that I was able to find and pick up that was in good condition. But I watched this again and again and again. And actually in, I think it was 2019, I was away on vacation in Maine, and they had terrible television reception. I think they had 7 channels. They had basic cable, no way for me to plug in my portable player, my laptop, nothing. And The Shining was on TV like the whole week I was there. I probably watched it 3 times. I never get bored of this. So I just find everything about it super creepy, from again, the supernatural stuff, the story, the creepy kids, the kid riding his little big wheel around the hotel and finding different things or seeing things and premonitions and just everything that went on, the blood coming out of the elevator doors. Everything about this just freaks me out, and I love the backstory. I love the when Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Torrance, when he starts to come undone and he's having all these visions and dreams, and is it real or did it happen? Like, I just love everything about this, and it really pains me to see a lot of people in the younger generations purging this from their collection because they say that they're bored with it. And I guess I can understand why, but as a person who has watched this ad nauseum over and over, like so many times I've lost count, it really kills me to see that it's kind of fallen off as being known as one of the greats and the must-have in your collection, because this is one that I could never not have in my collection. So if you're one of the people that you don't like The Shining, just tell me why. Clue me in what's going on, that there's a disconnect between the younger generation and The Shining, because I see it quite often lately. So I'm curious, but The Shining is one of my favorites. And of course, what would this list be without John Carpenter's rendition of The Thing, his retelling of The Thing? And if you know, there's an Easter egg in 78 Halloween where the original The Thing is playing in the background on the TV and the kids are watching it. But I think this is just such a great retelling of it. So good. Everybody in here is great. The setting is great where they're stuck in this, it's Antarctica, right? I always get it. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's Antarctica. And they're at this station and this entity comes in and there's blood and gore and the sense of dread and paranoia, isolation. There's no help anywhere to be found. It has everything. This movie just has everything that a horror movie should have. And there's a reason that it is the top favorite horror film on a lot of lists. You see a lot of people to this day loving this movie, and there is good reason because it's fantastic. It's a banger of a movie. Has to be on the list. Now this one, this was really like a kind of like a cult film. It had a big indie vibe, but this freaked me out. And then when I wish I still had it, a DVD edition with the actual book, but the book kind of fell apart. It was cheaply made, unfortunately, and it just kind of fell apart. But the book was just what did me in. And it's from director Sam Raimi. It's The Evil Dead, the first one. This freaked me out. It grossed me out. Everything about it was just so off-putting to me. And I never really got in stride with the movie. I didn't have a huge connection to it, but I had this like morbid curiosity where I kept going back to it. And it was definitely one of my gateway films. I love it. I mean, I don't know what my interest in it was, because when I first watched it, I couldn't even watch half of it. But I kept going back to it. So there, like I said, there was that morbid curiosity, and now I just love the whole franchise. It's a lot of fun, and it's creepy, and it's gross, and it's kind of like dark humor in some spots. But yeah, The Evil Dead was definitely one of my gateway films to horror, so had to be on the list. And what would a list be without some Hitchcock and of course Psycho? And I saw this again. I saw it way too young. It freaked me out, and the shower scene really got me. And I just love everything about it. I love the tone. I love the setting. I love the creepiness, the weirdness, and everything about it just got me. And like I said, the shower scene was a big, big thing. So I would not, for the longest time after seeing this, I would not take a shower unless I knew that someone else was home in the house, like my brother or my parents. And of course, it would be like my brother to play a prank on me. He never did, but if he had thought of it, he would have done it and scare me in the shower. But Psycho was definitely one of the, it got me. It got under my skin. And now I watch it and I kind of laugh. But the shower scene is definitely an iconic scene. As a matter of fact, I've talked about it before, and I know others have talked about it. There's a really great, I think it's called 5278 or 7852, I can't remember, but it is all about the making, Hitchcock's making of the shower scene, and how meticulous they were, how they did the sound effects, and how meticulous they were at getting that scene perfect, and they nailed it. You got me, Hitchcock, you got me. And this next one is a sci-fi, but I think it has enough horror elements, and I know a lot of other people agree that it belongs in the horror pile. And this was definitely one that I watched, and it got me. I wasn't a big sci-fi fan, but I heard about the movie, and it got me, and it's the original Alien. I really love this movie. I think it's so anxiety producing. The tension is just palpable throughout. You never know what's around the corner. And all I'm going to say is the thing that got me the most, the dinner scene. And I'm sure you all have seen it. You know it. Alien had to be on my list because it was definitely one that I saw over and over again. And I remember by the time cable TV came around, this was all over cable. You could find it anytime and watch it. So it's definitely one that I go back to again and again. And the 4K looks amazing. So Alien. And this one, again, this is a fault of my grandparents. My grandparents were big fans of the Universal monsters, so I credit them a lot to introducing me to a lot of them. But my favorite by far growing up was The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And this is the one with they have the slip cover, but the art is amazing. It's done by Alex Ross. And The Creature from the Black Lagoon was perfect. to watch with my grandparents. It played on Channel 9 on regular TV, and we watched it all the time, and we always watched it on summer vacation. And the thing is the house that we were staying at, that we were renting, was on a lagoon. So that freaked me out even more, because all I could imagine when I was swimming, it was brown, murky water, and all I could imagine was the creature coming up and grabbing my leg. I could see these types of visions all the time. And again, it was probably after Jaws, so I definitely wasn't swimming, but even if we were in like the little life raft or anything, I was freaked out because I could not get the scenes from the creature out of my head. But again, it was morbid curiosity because I loved the look of the creature. I thought the creature was super cool. I liked that it felt a little more modern than some of the Universal monsters to me at this time. Now I'm a kid, so not so much anymore, but it just felt like it was something that could actually happen, where the other ones you knew it was just almost an impossibility. But I don't know, something about this really freaked me out. Maybe because he was part fish, and I related it back to Jaws, but I really loved Creature from the Black Lagoon, so that one had to make my list. And finally, the one that I saw closest to, I would say, my cutoff point for this video, my, films that got me interested in horror, was the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I had never seen anything like it. This is when we're starting to get into more modern horror for me, for my age group. I had never seen anything like Freddy Krueger. It was so scary. It was so creepy. And even the thoughts like they couldn't fall asleep, so the kids were coming undone. But it was mostly Freddy that got a lot of us, because it was just something new. And they took the practical effects and the mask making, it took it to a new level that we hadn't seen before. So creepy and so jarring. And this, again, I did see in theaters, the first one. So it really got me, and I'm happy that I was able to have that experience. But this kicked it off, and it took us to what would probably be the next video in this segment. The films that I started to see that were a little more modern, not so much classic, but I definitely had high hopes for the future of horror after seeing A Nightmare on Elm Street. And yes, I have ordered the 4K set, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So hopefully these will all look awesome on 4K. And yeah, this is the last one on the list. But yeah, I know these were a lot of classics and films that people already know, but these were my staples. These were my go-to. These are the films I grew up watching that made me a horror fan. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun doing it because I love these movies for a reason, and I just wanted to share my personal list with you. So tell me down in the comments, if you're a horror fan, tell me, what were your horror classics that made you a horror fan? What are the classic films that you watch, for whatever age you are, that got you into horror and made you a horror fan? Or even if you're not like a die-hard fan, made you appreciate the genre. So that's it for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to continue sprinkling some horror content in here and there until we really blow it out in October, the end of September, October. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you're all having a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back real soon with something else fun. So I'm going to catch you in the next one. And for now, that's a wrap.